Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our very first Black Women Thriving Abroad series. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in to us, for signing up for the webinars. I am so grateful, just absolutely floored to even be a part of these phenomenal women. The the idea or the vision came from our friend Caroline Membrano, and I actually did not even know her until I was introduced to the vision. And my goal for 2017 was to do something exactly like this, to partner with some phenomenal women and just reach as many people as we possibly can to help better their lives. And so again, I'm grateful to be here. What Black Women Thriving Abroad is basically just a group of women that are represented all over the world who are actually thriving abroad. So we have several countries that are represented in this series. We have Costa Rica, we have Colombia, we have Nicaragua, Belize, and we also have Mexico. And so those are the hot spots usually when people are thinking of moving abroad, that they are thinking to go to either one of those countries. Oh yeah, we have Thailand. Cannot forget Kelly out of Thailand. So again, when people are thinking of moving abroad, they're usually focused on one of those countries. So it's a great mixture of not only countries, but a great personality of women working together. And I couldn't be more ecstatic to be a part of that. And then we're also going to be doing weekly podcasts where we will be bringing you different topics of us living abroad. We'll also be conducting some interviews, so make sure you stay dialed into us to find out exactly where you can pick up those recordings. My name is Donna Gallegos-Griffith, and I want to welcome you to the Medellin, Colombia series. And my family and I, we've been here living in Medellin, Colombia since April 2016. So very shortly, we would have been here for 1 full year. And Colombia, Medellin, Colombia is like everything that I was looking for in a country when we decided to move. So when you think of infrastructure, when you think of the people being friendly, when you think of the culture, the cost of living, everything that was important to us, we found it here in Medellin, Colombia. So, I'm going to give you as much information as I possibly can to help you make the best decision that you can to see if Medellin, Colombia is for you. Now, just because we like it, we've had several people come to Medellin and they're like, oh my God, I don't know why you guys like it, So to each their own, everybody is looking for something different, but I will do my best to give you the things that I like, but also from an unbiased perspective. Before I get into talking about Medellin, Colombia, let me just share with you all the journey on how me and my family even made it to Medellin, Colombia. So our journey started back in July of 2013, a little bit before that, but we were working from home and our businesses just really started to pop, basically. We catapulted to another level in our business and our lease was running out and we were like, what are we gonna do? And we said, you know what, we can make money from anywhere in the world, for real. If that's the case, then why stay in Washington, D.C.? Let's just see about moving abroad. So my husband was down, I was down. So we just started looking around and Costa Rica just kept coming up. So we didn't do a whole bunch of research about Costa Rica before we left. We didn't even have our passports before we got our flights. We just, checked on some of the basics, like how to rent a house, what area we might be interested in staying in, crime. Of course, we looked at crime. And of course, we looked at the cost of living. but we wanted to try something different. So we was like, all right, cool. So we sold all of our things. And the good thing about us selling our things is that we had someone come over to our house. We were like, yeah, we're going to be selling our things, and she was like, well, I want all of it. And so we had one person buy everything in our house. So that really pushed us forward. We were like, well, wow, it really must be meant for us to move to Costa Rica. So everything was aligning. And so we got ourselves together and we were doing research. We were looking at videos on YouTube. But what we noticed is that no one was from the Black community giving advice or doing videos about Colombia. So that's when the young Black expats were born. That's how we even got started. We were like, well, we want to be a voice for the people. We want to be a voice for our people and show them, Costa Rica, show them that people can live abroad and, basically let them know that they can do it too. So that's always been the goal of young Black expats. And that is to show you it's being done and we can do it too. So we've been, when we say young Black expats, we also only are coming, we're not really young necessarily, but we're not retirement age. And so there are different things that, when you're living abroad, there are different questions that need to be answered as opposed to just traveling from country to country. And also when you're young and living abroad, there are other questions that need to be answered versus, what a retired person would need to look at. And so that's why we named ourselves the Young Black Expats. And we just was bringing awareness to living abroad. But then after we came abroad and we started, getting a lot of views to our videos, then we really became this, this brand of actually showing people how to financially live abroad without having the retirement income available to you as you would when you have a pension. And so basically what our view is if you're living abroad, just reverse engineer everything that has been done in the United States. Different cultures come to the States. They all, work together, stack their money. Sometimes they send it back home. Living abroad doesn't necessarily have to be something that you want to do for the rest of your life. It could be a 3 to 5 year plan. If you're an entrepreneur, you're able to save way more money than you are in the United States. Stack your paper, get everything together, and then you can go back home, buy land, buy a house, do whatever it is that you do. But we'll get into that a little bit later. When we left, we had what they call additional cargo. Additional cargo. So what that means is we had a baby in Costa Rica. Yay! We had our first baby, and that was one of the goals too. We wanted to start a family out of the country, just wanted to do everything totally different. So we gave birth to our baby girl, Selah, in April, and it was a home birth. It was just the most beautiful thing that I have ever experienced in my life. That was April 2015. Fast forward to February 2016, my father-in-law started having some health complications. And so it was just a very difficult time for us, but we immediately flew back to the United States to see him, basically only to see him take his last breath in February 2016. So it's pretty much a year ago this month. See him take his last breath within 24 hours of our plane landing. And, you never know how you're going to respond to death, but looking back on it, it was really an honor for me to be in the room with him as he transitioned. But the fact remains, that was a huge emotional roller coaster in terms of seeing our daughter take her very first breath and seeing our father or father-in-law take his very last breath, all within a 10-month time frame. So when we got back to Costa Rica, everything was just like, I mean, our perspective on life had changed. It was like, don't wait for anything. It gave us to look at life differently. Move, move, move. Don't be stagnant. Don't feel like, don't get comfortable. There's always more, because we never know when our last breath is. So with that situation giving us a different perspective, we were like, look, let's just move. So we packed our bags and we chose Medellin, Colombia. And so that's how we really ended up in Medellin, Colombia. Life is what you make it. And so, with that being said, I'm going to share with you some of the things that we've learned here in Medellin so that you can make a decision to see if Medellin is for you. So first I want to talk about visas. The first thing that you want to know when you move to a country is, how can you stay longer than whatever your passport stamp is? And so for Colombia, there are about 15 different visas that you can get, that you can obtain. And so what you do is, when you get to Colombia, you're going to get a 90-day stamp on your passport when you go through customs. And then if you want to stay longer, you just go to the immigration office and pay for an extension, another 90-day extension. Now, let's say you're here for 6 months and you don't get your visa. All that means is that you need to leave the country for 6 months before you can come back into the country. Okay, so you have to get your visa if you want to stay before your 6 months is up. Now, Mitch and I, we chose to register a business here in Colombia. It was the easiest for us. They didn't ask us too many questions. And so that was the route that we went. It was the most expensive route, but we were able to get everything done. It wasn't a very long process. It probably took 2 weeks tops to get everything taken care of. If you have children, make sure that before you leave the States that you have all of their birth certificates apostilled or apostilled. Okay, that's the main thing about visas. If you have any questions other than that, feel free to get in contact with us. Taxes in Colombia. Now, in 2014, Colombia adopted a worldwide taxation system. And so what that means is that it doesn't matter where you are located, where you are getting your income from. Colombia wants some of it. So if you're here past 183 days, then you are considered a resident of Colombia. And once you're considered a resident of Colombia, then you have to file taxes. So, for some people, that is a big deal. For other people, it depends on a lot of different variables as to if that will affect you or if it does not affect you. For us, we are self-employed, so we write off a great portion of our income. And as long as your taxable income is below a certain amount, I think for 2016, it's $16,000, then you don't have to owe taxes for Colombia. So basically, there are some ways that you can finagle that. I would definitely ask you, to have a talk with a tax consultant, especially for expats, and especially for one that would be located in Colombia, to get all the information that you need before you get here to see how you will be affected with the taxes in Colombia. Now, another question that people were asking is healthcare. How is the healthcare in Colombia? But the first thing you should know is that there is like medical tourism here. So people come to Colombia because the prices of healthcare is much less than a lot of other places, in Central and South America. But to understand Colombians' healthcare, it's important to understand the way Colombians think about health. So in 1991, Colombia drafted a new constitution that basically took on a lot of reforms, a lot of ways to look at the healthcare system. The new law deem that a person's health is a basic human right, and that applies to all citizens and all foreign residents. And it was basically a really groundbreaking decision that paved the way for everyone living in Colombia to have access to a healthcare system. And the Colombian court stands behind the right to health care. So if your doctor recommends a treatment that your insurance company refuses to pay, all you have to do is contest it. And there is like a law, I guess you can call, a legal instrument. It's called tutela. Tutela is something that you can file with any civil court. But although that most civil courts here takes months or sometimes years, the law requires judges to rule on tutelas within 3 days in favor, and they are often in favor of the patient. So I think that's just phenomenal. Either way you look at it, that's just phenomenal. Colombia has one public health insurance company. It's called Nueva EPS. Nueva EPS, and dozens of private companies that's also working together to insure the people here in Colombia. So all Colombian policyholders have the same basic health care coverage, and that plan includes medical, dental, and vision. So private companies, they also offer a more, of course, premium policy that will expand beyond the basic coverage. So for example, if you want to cover LASIK eye surgery, then your premium plans will help you pay for a portion of those costs. Now, all of the plans here in Colombia, they cover you and at least a beneficiary. So if you have a spouse, minor child, dependent parent, or partner, at no extra cost. So you're married, you have 3 children or more, a single policy can cover you and your whole family. Now, dependent on if you are an employee or a independent worker will depend on the percentage of your own funds that you have to pay for coverage. This is something that I just wanted to throw in there to give you my opinion on the most popular topics for both Costa Rica and Colombia, because since I've lived in both, then a lot of people ask the question, they're thinking about Colombia, Medellin specifically, and they're thinking about Costa Rica specifically. So I just made a list of the different hot topics for each country, and in my opinion, which country won. For the sake of keeping the webinar short, I will just rate the topics. But if you're interested in hearing my reasons as to why I chose each country above the other one, let me know in a message, and I will cover this topic on one of our weekly podcasts for the Black women thriving abroad. So with that being said, let me just go over the different ones. So for Medellin versus Costa Rica, climate. Both have a great temperature, so that's a tie. Restaurants and nightlife, Medellin all the way. Cost of living, Medellin wins. Taxes, Costa Rica wins. I'll tell you why. If you want to know the reasons, let me know and I'll do a weekly podcast, cover the topic on our weekly podcast. Things to do in the country, hands down, Medellin. Safety, Costa Rica. I'll tell you why. Just let me know that you want to know why. Healthcare, Medellin wins. Infrastructure, Medellin wins. Pollution, that was very hard, but I have to give it to Medellin. Traffic, I have to give it to Medellin. Okay, so again, if you want to know the reasons behind why I chose each country, let me know and we'll go ahead and drop that information into one of our podcasts, okay? Now, other useful resources that will help you that we have available for you. We just came out with our video ebook, and it's entitled things you need to know before moving abroad. And it is about 13 different modules. It goes into depth about things that we didn't know when we moved abroad, that we had to learn through trial and error, that, it took us a while to, kind of get our footing. So if you guys can go and get this book to help guide you as you're moving abroad, then I think that you wouldn't have as many hiccups that Mitch and I incurred while we were transitioning from country to country. And then also, if you already have a business, then we have created a membership site where you can, what teaches you step by step how to put your business online. So if you have a business idea, it's perfect for that, because you're going to need an income when you're living in another country. A lot of times you can't find a job as a foreigner in a different country. So you're going to have a way to get income into your household. So check that out as well. And then that's really the end of the webinar. I want to leave you with one thought as you are deciding to move from country to country. And that is, as we are traveling internationally, I would just like to ask that each of you just humble yourselves. You're in a new country, you're in a new land. I would say listen before you speak. Walk your new country quietly in observation mode. Just don't go there trying to change the country, trying to tell them that the way you did it in the country that you just left is better than the way that they do it. Don't be that person. Be humble. Watch how the men interact with the women. Watch how the children interact with their family. Watch how they do businesses together. Watch how everything is just run. Learn the customs of your new country. Learn the language of your new country. Just humble yourself, and you will go a long, long way. That is the end of my webinar. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, please reach out to us and we will be glad to help. Thank you.